Hey, what's up, you guys? Bringing another action figure review to you, and this is Doomsday from the DC Icons Death of Superman 2-pack. I just wanted this Doomsday. I didn't really want that Death of Superman, the whole 2-pack, especially now, because now it's just a ridiculous rare item, and it's up for insane prices on eBay and other online sites. So, but I just think this is a really awesomely sculpted Doomsday, and I just had to get him. I just had to pick him up. So let's get into the figure itself. And he comes with one accessory, which is an extra hand. I'll get into that in a bit. But just the sculpt on this figure is fantastic. The sculpt on his chest there, the sculpt on his face looks phenomenal. I mean, this is like the Doomsday figure I've always wanted, really, to be honest. This is the Doomsday figure I've actually always waited for these years. Is this figure right here. And see the sculpting of his eyes, behind the little bones in his eyes. You see his teeth. You see his open mouth there. And just, you see his muscle mass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see the rips throughout his, the shorts that he wears. You got that little metal plating in there. You got the little metal plate in there. You got his bone claws and his knuckles. You see the sculpting of his fingers, his fist, his little bones sticking out from there, the bones sticking out from his knees. His boots are very nicely sculpted as well. That is just awesome. He even got those little prints down there on the bottom of his boots. You see the sculpting in his back. I mean, he's just a beast. He is a beast. You still see more sculpting going throughout his hair, which is great. That's wonderful as well. Yeah, I mean, this is just a beautifully sculpted figure, no doubt about it. No doubts about it. You see the bones up there. So I am just loving this Doomsday figure, no doubt about it. He's a beast, man. He's just a beast. And the one accessory, like I said, he comes with is an alternate fisted hand or the alternate open hand, that you could switch out on his left hand. So that's it for accessories. And articulation follows as this. Arms can go out a pretty good decent amount. His head can rotate to the left and to the right. I can't really turn it 360, and no way in hell I'm gonna try to break this figure, not on my life. A little bit slight tilt. His arm can do a full 360 rotation. He has a lower ball jointed swivel in his arm, a single bend at the arm, but it doesn't bend as much, so that might piss some people off. He does have a full rotation in the wrist. Mine doesn't really go up and down in the wrist either. No way in hell I'm gonna force it. Like I said, his ab crunch just go all the way back that much, goes forward all the way about that much. He has this very interesting disjointed joint in his leg. I don't really know how to explain it, but it can go in and out like so. And he does have an upper thigh cut. So he does have an upper thigh cut. He has a slight bend in his knee, but I'm like I said, I'm not gonna force this figure. I'm not breaking it because I will start crying. And he does have a hinge in his foot, and he does have a slight ankle pivot. And that's pretty much about it for the articulation. If I didn't mention, he does have an upper diaphragm ball joint, so you can get some, some action going on there. But that's about it for the articulation. That is about it for Mr. Doomsday. So I just switched out the other hand for Mr. Doomsday and switched it into his fisted hand. And this is just a solid figure. Like I love this Doomsday figure. He is wonderful. beautifully sculpted. Um, I mean, yeah, like that's the major selling point for me, like how wonderfully sculpted this figure actually is, because he really is. Like the sculpt on him is just absolutely phenomenal. Um, and that's usually like the main selling point for me when it comes to action figures. Um, the sculpt work just, it just has to be there, you know. It just has to be there. And for this figure, it definitely 100% is. I feel like this is the most comic accurate version of Doomsday that we've ever seen or have gotten in action figure form. I know that there's been quite a few Doomsday figures over the years, but I say that this is the most comic accurate, at least to me. Um, for a lot of years, I've held back on getting a lot of Doomsday figures. I only had one other Doomsday figure that I'm I might be able to bring him out. Hang on one sec there, ladies and gents. He's refusing to stand, so that's kind of bumming me out, because this older Doomsday figure is very hard to stand. But anyway, um, yeah, I still think that this is the most accurate representation of Doomsday. The sculpting on him is just absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful, and I love it. And the articulation may be kind of odd, especially with the legs. And there's certain points of articulation that should be there, and it's kind of not. And I feel like if you try to force it, that you will break this figure, and that's just something I cannot bear to do. So I will not be doing it. But I feel that this is a very solid Doomsday figure, and once this 2-pack came out, that Doomsday was the Doomsday that I wanted. Seriously. The Death of Superman figure itself, the Superman figure looked awesome. It looked insanely awesome and very accurate to the comics as well. But it wasn't really a Superman figure that I wanted. But this Doomsday was definitely a figure that I wanted, and I'm so very happy to have him for my collection. And yeah, I mean, the sculpting is a win. The articulation may not be a win for some people, but to me, sculpting always wins over articulation. At least for me. That's just me. That's just my opinion right there. I'm just putting it out there. But I definitely say that this Doomsday figure is definitely worth a pickup. Most definitely. If you're a fan of Doomsday, you know, and a Superman fan, you definitely want this figure. This is a figure that you definitely want and need in your collection. Um, he's a little hard to get as well. You know, he's kind of turned into a rare item as well, especially if you want the 2-pack as a whole. So just trying to get this guy, yes, it will be very hard to do. And there's the comparison. So I finally got my older Doomsday to stand up. So yeah, so this is the only other Doomsday that I've actually had in my collection. So that's the comparison right there. But there were other Doomsday figures on the market that I just never got, you know, for whatever reason. Mostly because of laziness, because I just chose not to get it. But it turns out it was for a good reason, because now I got the Doomsday figure that I've always wanted to have. So with that being said, highly worth the pickup. Till next time, guys, this has been me, AFG, reviewing the Doomsday DC Icons 2-pack. That's a Superman. Ooh, that's a mouthful. Till next time, guys. See ya.